Bro, I wake up so giddy. Like, I'm so happy to just be here and film podcast.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I really have no following, or no significant following right now. And I don't make money. And I just enjoy it so much. And one day I'm going to make money and it's going to be even more enjoyable. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
All right. My name is Zach Metzger. I'm 20 years old. Dang, I actually had to do this. Read a short bio about myself for Chris Finster, and I was struggling. But I'm 20, dropped out of college. I'm doing video editing right now, and I take health and wellness pretty seriously.
He's a VFX artist. I know you don't like to call it.
Okay, well,
call yourself.
I'm proficient at VFX, but mostly just like narrative video editing. I was doing TikToks for a little bit, like the Joe Rogan podcast where like there's the captions and there's the photos that pop up and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd edit those for the psychedelic rehabilitation.
I saw that you did that.
Yeah.
Dang. The psychedelic therapy, which I actually do want to get into with you, but that's late for later in the podcast.
Yeah.
Since you don't want to introduce yourself, I will introduce you.
Okay.
Zach Metzger is a video FX artist. He has edited many short films. He went to film school, decided it wasn't for him. He dropped out, and now he is seeking a creative entrepreneurial life.
Correct.
Yeah. Sorry if I...
No, that sums it up. I guess, yeah, mine was very brief.
I like to start off every episode with my why behind the podcast, which is that I want to inspire you guys to invest in soul wealth. So not the classic wealth, which is measuring success by money, possessions, achievements, or status, but I want to inspire you to measure success by soul wealth metrics, which is the quality of your relationships and the quality of your memories. Today, I'm here with Zach Metzger. He is someone that I know has a good soul, and therefore I'm really excited to interview you. I want to start with... Take me back to your short film Check-In, because I watched that last night.
Oh, yeah.
And there was clearly some mental health themes of it, as in it seemed to be about a suicidal kid and his friend comes to check in on him. And unbeknownst to the suicidal kid, unbeknownst to the friend, that's what saved his life, from my understanding. What inspired you to make that film?
Oh, man. This response, the answer to this question is much less heroic than you'd think.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had watched a bunch of this was an application film for Chapman LMU for their film schools. Yeah. So this was a 2-minute short film, and I made it in like the last week before it was due.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd watched a bunch of them, and the ones which I felt were the most moving and most impactful, there was a prompt behind it. I felt were the most moving and impactful, and also had like accepted in the title on YouTube, were ones about mental health. So honestly, I was kind of playing the game, but I was actually inspired by, I have a friend who had a friend who went through something similar.
Yeah.
And he was kind of telling me about that. And then I went, you know what, I'm going to kind of make a film about someone who's isolated, and then a friend who comes in and helps him. And then ultimately the prompt was 2-minute film about someone who has to make a difficult decision. And then ultimately the guy who is struggling, the main character, does decide to, prolong his life and, hang out with his friend.
That's so interesting, because that's not the response I expected. I expected it was going to be more personally motivated, but I respect that you give the honest answer, which is that you're just playing the game.
Yeah.
And that is interesting. When I did watch it, it did feel like one of those short films.
Yeah.
You didn't watch... Have you seen Everything Except Nothing? Or Everything But Nothing?
No.
Okay. Everything But Nothing is a short film that someone just released on YouTube. I mean, I think it was like a similar thing. Like, they did it for college.
Okay, yeah.
And it is like blowing up, like 5 million views. The guy's going to speak at Harvard, even though he's like 18 or 19. He's going to get like movie roles, and you should watch it when you get home.
Okay.
But
Everything But Nothing?
It's like Everything Except Nothing, or Everything But Nothing, but it's really unique, and it's just blowing up. What about I also was looking at, when I do research for my guests, I try to go as like far back as I can. So I watched your Super Eats video.
Oh, wow.
For the audience that doesn't know what Super Eats is, it's a video Zach made when he was like young. I don't know. I mean, you look young in the video. I haven't.
8th grade, probably. So I was, 14?
8th grade. Wow, bro.
Yeah.
He was in 8th grade, and it's about Uber Eats, but being a superhero.
Yep.
Throughout your career on YouTube and just on short form, you've like repeated the superhero theme over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah. So my initial introduction into filmmaking was with a few of my friends, actually it was 6th or 7th grade. And they were like, we're going to make this superhero film. We want an extra person to help out. And I wasn't super close to them at the time, but they pulled me in. Obviously, being a young kid, superheroes are awesome.
Yeah.
So that sounded like a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then once I sort of learned a little bit of VFX, I went, what would I do if I could do anything? And I feel like a lot of people would love to have superpowers. Yeah. So VFX it's kind of like a portal into your imagination.
Yeah.
So I think superpowers were just like a natural thing, and it's something that if it was possible, I'd definitely,
Wait, but as a kid, were you a really big fan of superhero movies, or like still to this day, or no?
Honestly, no. I'm like a casual consumer. Like I'll watch a Marvel movie here and there, but by no means am I like a Marvel nerd, but some people are. And one of my friends actually knows a lot, and it helps because when we're making content, he's like, oh, we could do this superhero.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's great that,
That's interesting though, because I would have thought you were like a mega Marvel kid based on your content.
No.
What I do like about it though is it feels, I mean, I guess Super Eats was when you were a child, but it feels very childlike in the sense that like that kind of content feels like you don't really care what people around you think. It feels like, oh, I'm going to just make videos about being a superhero, and it doesn't matter what age I am.
Yeah.
Did you face any backlash when you were first making content in high school and stuff?
Honestly, I've never struggled with people care. I mean, I have to a degree.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a big crippling fear of mine to be like, what is someone going to think of me? Yeah. Because ultimately I was having fun and I thought it was cool. And I've always thought from a young age, not in like an egotistical way, maybe sort of, but I've always like, oh, I'm going to be successful. Yeah. So I thought to myself, if I make this, eventually this is going to be like, this is just going to be part of my journey. Yeah. And people, if they cared then, whatever,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I wanted to start YouTube because I watched a lot of YouTubers and I looked up to a lot of YouTubers. And I felt like I related more to YouTubers than to like the people around me in high school.
Oh, wow.
And I was bullied. I hesitate to say the word bullied because like it wasn't like bad. No one took my lunch money or did. They just I was just really small. I was the smallest kid. I played football. Everyone on the football team made fun of me. But I remember actually the amount that I was, or like the bullying and just the ridicule actually was what made me able to start YouTube, because I always wanted to. But then it was like people were already making fun of me when I wasn't doing it. So I was like, what are they going to do? Just make fun of me more?
Yeah.
And that really helped me out. But it's interesting to hear your perspective as just someone who never really struggled with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it was. I know one of my best friends, Colin Garrity, he was the one who actually starred in the Super Eats video.
Yeah.
And he was acting ridiculous in the video, and he was a little bit like embarrassed, but I think he's coming to terms with like, if you want to be successful at some point, you need to make a fool of yourself, especially if you're doing these sort of like superhero silly skits.
I mean, even Sam Najad like talks about that, about how he was blowing up on TikTok immediately when he started making videos, and he didn't repurpose it to Instagram at first.
Because, oh wow, yeah.
Because he was like, oh, like people who know me follow me on Instagram. But then he just had a revelation. He was like, I'm just like cutting my audience in half because I'm worried what people think about me. But then on the other hand, the interesting part of that is like your content can be like whatever level of cringe. So like hypothetically, You can be super cringe or not cringe at all, but people will treat you differently based on how many views it gets. So like you could make extremely cringe content and it gets a lot of views, and then people will act like it's cool, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So that's always been like a phenomenon I've found really interesting. I actually think too, though, like the way you see what you do is how others will see it too. So like back in high school, I would make content, but I don't know, because I was bullied. I hadn't really found my like confidence yet. I would like be so scared for people to know that I made content. And I was also like, I didn't like have that much confidence in it. And then like when people found out, it was like my secret. And then when people found out, they would like make fun of me for it. But then I took a gap year. I studied abroad, went to Spain. I started working out. I got a lot more confident. And when I went to college, I would go to college parties and I would tell people like, I'm a YouTuber. And the quality of my videos didn't change. It wasn't like my videos went from bad to good. They were probably still like not that great. But in college, because of the confidence I held with it and the people I like, I'd be like, I'm a YouTuber. The amount of times I had someone tell me like, oh my gosh, I always wanted to be a YouTuber. I always wanted to do this. And they would like look up to me for it. And it wasn't because the content was any better. It was just because of the way I saw it, which is really interesting.
That is cool.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that does kind of answer the question of why maybe I didn't care, is because I kind of owned it.
Yeah.
I never thought that what I was making was super cringy. So when people asked me, I'd be like, yeah, I made that. It wouldn't be any sort of shame behind it. So I think that was something which I held with me and helped me like, do what I wanted.
Looking back and now, do you feel like any of your videos were cringe?
No, I look back and I go, I wish I made more videos. I wish I made a fool of myself more. Wow. Honestly. Yeah. Because if, let's say someone was like, this is cringe.
Yeah.
And they said you're like a loser or whatever. It's almost like you said, if you don't grow.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that kind of like, I don't want to say external validation, but that's what views are and that's what like success is. Then people might continue to make fun of you and maybe it'll get to you because you never have that validation.
Yeah.
But if you do, then I feel like it's just, like I said, like before, it's just part of your journey. So I look back, not for anyone else, but just for myself. I wish I had like made more stuff and there was more like footage of me.
That's interesting, that word success. I'm very careful to say, because a lot of people will say, I'm successful when I get 1 million subscribers, or I'm successful when. It's like, I've met people in LA who show me they're like, follow me on Instagram, and then they have 10 million followers, but they like, before they show me their Instagram, they'll like preface it and be like, oh, by the way, I make stupid dances on TikTok. They like need, even though they have so many followers, they feel the need to tell me like, that's not who they are. I have like, 2,000 followers on Instagram, and I'll show someone my Instagram, but I know like it reflects me and I'm happy with everything I made. So I'm not like, in a sense, like I might be more successful than that person. They might have more followers and more, but I feel more happy and joyful with who I am. The other thing I was going to say about that is like with the cringe, I find it interesting how like you say, like you don't look back and cringe, because I look back and cringe a lot at my old content. I'm like, that was not good.
Yeah.
But it's not like cringe in a way where like I feel bad for making it. It's just like cringe in a way where I'm like, I'm so much better now than I was then. If I remade that video, it'd be way better. It's like, I feel like cringe is a very good thing, because it's like when you cringe at yourself, that means that you've become a person who can make a lot better content.
Totally. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think maybe if we separate two different versions of cringe, there's one cringe which is regret, and there's one cringe which is, I've improved a lot since then. I definitely experienced I've improved a lot since then.
Hold the mic closer.
Yeah.
Just while the sky's going by.
Sounds good.
There is a wind blower.
But no, that's definitely a good thing that... You think we should just pause for a second?
Yeah, listen.
Okay.
I should screw over a little bit dollar.
Yeah.
You can pick up.
Okay, so in terms of the second definition of cringe, I think that it's great that you feel that because, like you said, it means that you are improving, and that's something I've been told.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes people will not understand that they feel that because they've improved. Yeah. So they look back and they have this sense of regret, but it's like you did the best you could back then.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing that you feel like if you look back and you went, wow, that was so good. Yeah. That means you're doing something wrong because you haven't improved that much since then. If I look back at something I've done in 8th grade and I go, wow, man, I'm blown away by what I did in 8th grade. Yeah. Like, this is still hitting my standards. Yeah. I should be a little bit concerned considering I haven't improved in 8th grade.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. But I also think the further along your career you go, I don't know if that's always true because I'm thinking of it from like a perspective like let's take Drake or someone like like a legend like he probably looks back at certain albums and he's like, I love what that album was.
Yeah.
And it's like I guess I totally see your point in the sense that when you like, especially when you're looking back to something like 8th grade or the beginning of your career, you shouldn't be like, yeah, you don't want to be like, that's good because you should be on a whole new level. But I also feel like there'll be points where in your career where you don't necessarily need to compare. It's like, even like the vlogs in college I made, I could make them so much better now, but it's like, I look very fondly on that. Like, I'm like, damn, I'm so happy I did that, which I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot there. Let's move on to, you've never smoked nicotine or weed in your life.
Yes.
Why?
Well, okay, there's nicotine in a cigar.
Okay.
So I've never vaped. I've never smoked a cigarette or anything else.
So I also want to shout out your honesty. Like, I love that you clarify everything and you give really honest answers.
Yeah.
Just one of my like personal values is just to be serially honest.
Yep.
And it's something I really believe in. So, and I can tell immediately that you value that too.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yep.
Sorry to cut you off.
No problem. Yeah, it was never, here's the thing. I'd articulated this better the other day. I've been around addiction and I've also worked with, in the like whole psychedelic rehabilitation, it's helping people overcome addiction. Yeah. So also I've seen a lot of videos about, scientists talking about addiction and whatnot. The thing is, I'm not morally superior. I don't have a stronger willpower than anyone who has smoked nicotine or gotten addicted to vaping or they're like heavy into smoking weed. I've just never tried it.
Yeah.
I think if I tried it, I'd be deep in it. That's what I think. I have an addictive personality.
Interesting.
So I keep myself away from that. I don't have anything against weed. I'm gonna be honest. Like if you overuse it, I think that it can form a degree of complacency. Yeah. I think it can probably like hinder your performance, but like it's a plant and it makes you feel a little sleepy. It's not like some sin or some, obviously if you're underage, it's illegal.
Yeah.
But
well, it's really interesting to hear you say that if you did it once, you think you would do it a lot. Because I don't actually think you would. And
maybe not. Maybe.
Let me explain though this. So, because I have a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
Except, unlike I haven't smoked weed, I haven't drank alcohol in like a year, maybe a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But for sure, all of 2023, and it's November.
Yep.
But I've tried weed, certainly tried alcohol, certainly tried nicotine, and I don't do any of them. And this is what I've concluded, because I don't think it's my willpower either. I don't think that I have this crazy willpower to not do things. I think it comes down to discipline versus identity. So discipline is you choose to do things because you have willpower. It's like, I don't want to go to the gym, but I'm disciplined, so I'm going to go anyways. I don't want to eat healthy, but I'm disciplined, so I'm going to eat healthy. Identity is like something is so core to who you are that you can't move otherwise. So it's like, I got diagnosed with a sickness. I became a stronger Christian, and like, I have listened to doctors talk about the health effects of alcohol in the brain, that it's not even like when the opportunity comes up to drink or not drink, it's not me being like, I really want to drink, but I'm going to make this choice. It's just like, I know how it affects your brain. My brother's a really bad alcoholic, so I've seen the worst parts of it. I've experienced like bad parts of it myself. So like, and as like a Christian, I don't feel like I should be like getting drunk, and I don't like the taste of alcohol. So the only reason I would drink is to get drunk.
Yeah.
And so now it's not even like a disciplined choice. It's literally just identity. It's like, and I've gotten to a point where I've gone to so many parties sober that I have just as good of a time. I'm just as confident with dancing. I feel better the next morning, and I feel better the next morning, and I like remember everything. So it's like, to me, it's just a win-win-win-win to not drink alcohol. So now it really isn't like discipline. Like, I'm not sitting there like, oh, I can't drink. I just feel like that's who I am.
Yep.
And like, the reason I say like I don't think you would be addicted either is because I feel like when you saw the way like weed or alcohol, or I guess we're not talking about alcohol, but if we saw the way like weed like killed, made you complacent, or made your gym, like, you're such a like someone who's gone to the gym, who works hard, that like I don't feel like you would want that version of yourself either. It's like, I don't know if what I just said made sense, but that was
that makes sense. I think, I don't know about weed, because I know weed isn't intrinsically addictive from my understanding, whereas nicotine is like an addictive substance.
Yeah.
I feel like nicotine might cause a problem, but I have no desire to try them. So I think I'm good on that.
Yeah.
And good for you for not partaking. I know you said it helps with your health as well.
Yeah.
And I think regardless of if you have an autoimmune disorder or not, I think that, like, I was listening to Andrew Huberman, and he was saying even like as an adult, like fully developed, like once a week you should drink. Or not you should, but like if you're going to drink, once a week is like plenty. And anything further than that, you're damaging yourself.
There's a doctor I really like. He's named Dr. Amen, and he's like he's scanned more brains than anyone in the world. So all he does is study brains, and he's done like, he does like regular clients, but he's done like celebrities, he's done like people who have abuse, he's done serial killers, rape. He's scanned every brain you can think of, and like a lot. And his whole thing with alcohol is that the way we look at cigarettes, like, I don't know if you know this, but in our parents' age, people would smoke cigarettes in restaurants. They would smoke cigars in restaurants. Like, it was just a part of culture. And one day, like, restaurants started outlawing it, and all of our parents were like, that's never going to stay. Like, the people are going to riot if they outlaw smoking cigarettes in restaurants. Well, now there's I can't think of any restaurant where people are smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
And Dr. Amen thinks that alcohol will be the same way because of the health effects. I don't know. It's really hard to comprehend that world would exist. But he says, like, this guy's scanned more brains than anyone. He says drinking alcohol at any degree once a week has long-term effects on your brain, has long-term effects on your body. And, like, I don't think that information will change most people. But for someone like me who's just, like, hyper obsessed with wellness and stuff, like, and I'm not even saying I'll be sober forever, but I just, like, once I, like, learn information like that, it just, like, really sticks with me, and it makes me not want to, I don't know, makes me not want to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm curious, though, because you worked for a company. I know you just did video editing, so you're not, like, deep in the weeds, but you worked for a company that did psychedelic therapy. So I'm assuming they did it for mental health, addiction, probably some other things. I'm assuming what that looks like is giving patients psychedelics. What do you think of psychedelics, and what do you think of it as a therapy option?
Okay, so I've never done psychedelics. I don't have a plan on doing any sort of psychedelics. But I dropped out of school last year, so I went for 1 semester.
Yeah.
So when I say I'm a college dropout, I went for 1 semester. I didn't really give it a whole lot of time. But anyways, I dropped out. I was looking for social media video editing jobs because I'm good at social media. I'm good at video editing, and I'm very into social media. So, and I came across a job, which was an ibogaine rehabilitation center in Mexico. Ibogaine is a psychedelic, and
is it a mushroom or is it?
It's like it comes from a shrub, and it's like a bark, I think, of a tree. Yeah, or there's a fruit. I'm not super sure.
But it's a naturally occurring psychedelic.
It is. And I came across this job, and I wasn't too sure about like the ethics and whatnot and the effectivity of it. But as I learned, I accepted the job because it paid well and it seemed like interesting. It was talking about addiction and whatnot, and it's effective. The reason I'm moving away from it is, and I'll touch on more about what it is. The reason I'm moving away from it is, first off, I don't like the idea of being an employee. I'm not an employee. I'm a contract worker, and I've worked with a total of 3 different places throughout the last 9 months or 11 months.
Yeah.
But I don't like the idea of working. Not that I'm against it, but I'd rather work towards my own mission than work for someone else's mission.
Yeah.
And especially if I don't 100% align with what they're doing, it's effective, but when you look at it through a lens of faith, it's kind of like, what's going on here? Like, what is this? Like, they're hallucinating and it works, but it's like, I don't fully understand it. So, but yeah.
I mean, and that's a good enough reason not to do it, because I'm a very strong Christian, and I don't have an opinion on psychedelics either, because I've heard people do it and tell me they're like, oh, I got closer to God. I've heard people do it and then they like believe in some spiritual God. I've heard people do, and it's like, I don't really know it. I don't feel qualified enough, but I totally get where you're coming from in the sense of like, you don't have to sit here and say it's bad. You just don't know. And it's like, why would you condone something you don't know?
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, just to jump in and kind of
no problem. That. Yeah. Sort of moving away from that, I think what's interesting is you said it's fine to say you don't know, and I totally agree. And I think that's something I've actually learned recently, because we're a generation of people who look on the internet and everyone has opinion on everything and they know the right answer.
Yeah.
And there's such strong personalities on the internet, and some of them, they have enough research and they have enough knowledge to back that up, whereas others, they're kind of like pulling opinions out of thin air just to get views and just to rile people up. I think looking at that and watching hours a day of content, you start to develop these like strong beliefs about things, and you need to have an answer on everything. You need to have an opinion, you need to know about everything. And recently I've started to accept, like, I don't know. Like, there are conflicts in the world where I felt like, dude, I was 17, 16, and I was like, I need to have this firm opinion. Like, I need to do research. First off, I can't do anything to change them.
Yeah.
And second off, there's such like biased information, and there's a conflict of interest on like both sides of the argument. And I think saying I don't know is a really strong thing, because you don't have to know everything.
Yeah.
You can know most things in one field and not really be super well versed or knowledgeable about something in another field. And I think that's totally fine.
Oh, you're smart for your age. I mean, I guess I'm young too, but that's like,
he always says, it's always like, oh, you're like smart. You're doing well for your age. He's 22. I'm 20.
What you don't realize though is these years, like 20 to 30, bro, in 1 year, you're going to be like, I've grown so much. And in 2 years, you're going to be like, I'm looking back myself when I was 20, like, and I hate to say this because I know it sounds like, oh, like I'm like, here's my wise son, but bro, it's just that you grow like I bet you're already feeling it, like, since you drop out, every 6 months is like crazy growth.
Totally.
But
muscles.
What I was saying, this guy's secretly jacked too. A dog is coming into the podcast.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, like, Yeah, saying I don't know is super powerful because social media is an echo chamber. So like people who aren't willing to say I don't know will find themselves in a place where they feel that they need an answer for everything, and their algorithms will serve them everything they already believe. So like say they have more liberal point of views, or say they have more Republican point of views, or say they have more like Israel or Gaza point of views. Whatever point of views they have, their algorithms are going to serve them evidence that what they believe is true. And so by having this I can never not know mindset, or like I have to have the answer to everything, they end up just living in an echo chamber, and that echo chamber leads them to hatred because it leads them to like, I'm right and you're wrong. And that's like pride. And that's why I feel like what you're saying I don't know is so powerful. The other thing, like we were talking about psychedelics, and like as a Christian, like so many people as a Christian, they'll be like, smoking weed is a sin, or they'll be like, taking psychedelics is a sin. And it's like, first of all, the Bible doesn't say that. It doesn't. Like, and to say that it says smoking weed is a sin is a lie. But what it does say is be sober-minded. So I think if you're taking shrooms and you're tripping balls and like clouds are forming into animals and stuff, like that's probably against what the Bible says, because it says be sober-minded. But they don't verse that says thou shalt not take shrooms or psychedelics. It's like people try to like make things say things they don't. And so I feel like it is a very powerful place to be like, I don't know. And this is coming from a Christian guy who's never taken psychedelics and doesn't really plan on ever taking them.
Yeah.
I'm not defending it so that one day I can do it and be like, but it's just like you said, there's so much power in saying I don't know and not having to have an answer. And I actually think that the people who are willing to not have an answer and willing to say I don't know are practicing like wisdom, because it's like you just don't know.
Yeah.
That was a long rant.
No, that's good. I agree with you, and I want to clarify. By me mentioning I don't know about a few things, there's a whole lot of things which I do feel like.
Their second
like
dog.
No problem.
It's okay.
I do want to clarify. There are a whole lot of things which I feel very strongly about.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, I don't have the right answer.
Yeah.
I've just been fed a whole lot of things which have been validating my beliefs, and it is backed up through anecdotal experiences, not just through the internet.
Yeah.
But I feel like the more I let go of those things and I go, you know what, I'm going to do what works for me. I'm going to tell people what I think might work the best for them, whom I care about. And besides that, I don't need to shove anything down anyone's throat. I don't need to get in any heated arguments about things which I'm not an expert on. I've just seen things on the internet, and I've experienced a few things in my real life. I don't need to pretend that I'm some super wise guy, some like PhD about whatever it may be.
I mean, the internet gives you the opportunity to be a guru, to be a PhD in whatever you want, which is a dangerous place, because we live in the most powerful era in the sense that you can pretty much learn anything online, but we also live in the most dangerous era in that there's more false information than has ever existed. Like something Tim Ferriss said, who's the author of the 4-Hour Workweek, is that like you want to be super proficient, like really, really expert in like one or two things and good enough at everything else. And I thought that was like a really good phrase. Like I want to be expert, really good at podcasting. And I want to have decent knowledge about health, decent knowledge about fitness, decent knowledge about, like, and I think that's like a good mindset too. You mentioned how you dropped out after one semester, which I think counts as dropping out. I dropped out after 4 semesters. Was dropping out what you thought it would be? Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. I don't have any expectations in life. I don't really. Oh, is it still on?
Yeah.
Checking.
Checking the frame. Okay, yeah.
Good.
That's great. Sorry.
Yeah. So I don't really have any expectations. I know a lot of people, they'll bank on certain experiences and they'll go, once I do this, I expect so much. I was expecting that it'd be easier to be disciplined and to find work and to just be ultra successful afterwards. And I still had a lot more figuring out who I was and what I wanted to do. And honestly, dropping out, it helped me to do that. But I thought that I had already figured it out. I thought that I'd drop out, I'd go home, I'd work really hard on, I couldn't even tell you what it was, but I thought I'd figured it out. And I dropped out just to learn that there's a whole lot more which I need to learn about myself. And yeah, I'm still in the process of it. So,
I mean, because the reason I asked you that question is because I dropped out.
Yeah.
And online, like, dropping out is, I don't want to say it's glorified, but it's becoming more and more of a, like, viable option, and school is getting less and less acclaimed, which I agree with. Like, I would still go online and, like, say, like, don't drop tens of thousands of dollars on school unless you know what you want to do.
100%.
But the way we glorify dropping out was certainly not my experience, and almost every single dropout I've talked to is certainly not their experience. And I love that you use the word anecdotal, because like back in college, my roommates would always have a joke like anecdotal research, but it is kind of the only research you can trust. Is like especially with like food and stuff. It's like people are always saying what food's healthy and what food's not. It's like really what matters is how you feel. So you do the anecdotal research, try the foods. That's a whole different conversation there. But when I dropped out, I had been doing YouTube for 3 years. I had no like traction with it, but I believed that all this time I was spending on school, if I just switched that time to my YouTube channel, then like I'm good, I'm golden, I'm going to blow up and my career is going to take off and I'm going to be happier, and none of that happened. Literally didn't gain subscribers. I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I actually didn't like the content I was making. Went through a period where I was out of school. I had way more time to create, but I was creating way less than when I was in school because I didn't realize that how much of a muse school was for me. So like I lived with 7 guys and I was a vlogger. So 7 guys was like content, free content every day. And then I was just alone and I had no one to make content with. And I realized I don't actually like making content alone. I like making content with people. And so I felt lonely. And in all these things I'm naming are negative things, but like I would not go back and take back the decision. I'm so happy I dropped out. I'm so happy with where I'm at, but it just wasn't at all what I thought it was going to be. And I feel like we glorify dropping out like it's like an answer. We're like, dropping out is the solution. Dropping out is not the solution. It's just like another step in the journey.
Totally.
And it's cool to talk to you because you just dropped out and you're probably at that place where I was, where you dropped out, a year ago?
Yeah, a year ago, I would have still been in school, but it was like my final days.
Yeah.
So yeah, once the semester's over, it would have been a year.
Yeah, it's like that first year after dropping out for me was like the life-shattering year. It's like you learn so much about yourself. You're probably a little bit lonely because, not lonely like I'm depressed lonely, but lonely like all my high school friends are at college.
Yep.
All the friends I met at college stayed in college. I'm here in a not really a young place. But it does force you, like, I mean, like you were telling me at the gym the other day, you were saying there's not many that 18 to 24-year-olds in Carlsbad, and there really isn't.
Yeah.
But I've now over 2+ years of being dropped out and like making every single effort to meet all creative people, I feel like not only I have a good surplus of friends, but the quality of my relationships, like these people are really driven, really motivated, really like, and I'm a strong believer in like, you don't go out and find good friends. You don't go out and find a good girlfriend. You don't go out and find good business partner. You become a good friend. You become what you'd want in a relationship. You become what you'd want in a like business, and then people attract. And it's crazy. Like I can already tell that you're so much similar on my wavelength, and that there's a lot of stuff we could do together. And it's like literally Sam was like, you have to meet these people. It's like now I'm getting to this place where like my friends want me to meet their friends and want you to grow. And I freaking love like meeting people like you, because it's just like You're one of us.
Yeah, same here. It's super refreshing. And I think it's, when you're at a certain point, I don't want to hype myself up too much because then you guys will be let down.
No.
But I think once you get to a certain kind of like mindset that I think we share, I find it hard to sometimes make friends because some people are totally fine and they're just going through the motions and being a reactive. And I find myself in a lot of areas of life being reactive.
Yeah.
But I think there's finding people who are like, so opposite of reactive. Proactive. There we go. Yeah, I think you're a very proactive person, and I think that's something I'm striving to be, and it's hard to find people who are super proactive, especially in the same areas of life which you are. So I think it's refreshing to find proactive people. I think you and Sam are good definitions of proactive.
Bro, but that's like something, I have a lot of friends who, they haven't even taken the steps you've taken where like, you've dropped, you know that you don't want to do something aligned with school, so you dropped out. You know that you want to be someone who has like good health and fitness, so you work out. Like I have friends who are kind of in the state where they want to be someone else, but they haven't taken many steps. And they ask me the same questions. They go like, how do I have friends, but all my friends want to drink every weekend. I have friends, but none of my friends like doing the stuff I do. And they go, how did you find creative people? How they look at my life, and these are really good friends of mine, childhood friends. They're like, how did you find them? And I'm like, bro, the second you use like the word like find, you're already losing. It's like you just become the person that you want to be, and like you'll attract them. And it's literally like this is that example. It's like it will just continue to happen more and more and more. And that's not to say that you don't do things that would be like finding activities. Like I always tell people, you want to make entrepreneurial friends, but you're too cool to show up for a business club, or you're too cool to show up for an entrepreneurial club. Like you want to make friends that share the same values with you, but you'll never go to church. You want to make like friends. And so like I do put myself in rooms that would be like finding those people, but I never think about it finding, like you said, like losing expectations. You don't go to a place and expect something in return. You just be, and it will happen.
Totally. Yeah. I'm going to relate that to girls.
Yeah.
So I think I've had this understanding, and you need to become attractive to the person you want to attract, and then you have to find that person you want to attract. Because people will go, we can relate to friends too. People will go, where can I find a like-minded person? Let's relate it to a Christian. You go, I want to meet a like-minded guy who is strong in his faith and wants to work out. Let's say that's your criteria, I'm a friend. But first off, you need to be a good example of what you just described. You need to be in good shape and be at least taking it seriously, be on the road. And then with faith, you need to be taking it seriously and be on the road. And then you go to those places where you can find those two people. And a lot of people, they neglect one or the other. They'll just think that they'll happen upon it, and you might meet those people. But if you're not on the road, those people, they won't look down upon you, but they won't be like, oh, this is a like-minded person. Even though you look at them and, oh, you're perfect. From their point of view, you're just some guy.
Yeah.
You know? So I think, I totally think that's important. And honestly, I get down on myself a lot where I'm like, oh, I'm not doing like enough. And I understand that the harder I'm working, the more people will be able to like just see like the I don't know. It'll be like a different perspective. They'll be able to see me.
No, I mean, I think you brought up a good point about like kind of mixing the two, like becoming it and seeking, because like some good examples of this I can think of is like maybe like a YouTuber you like, or an author you like, or an entrepreneur you like hosts a meetup. Like if you go to that meetup and you meet your hero, but you're not doing anything exciting, all that is just going to be a moment where you said hi, maybe got an autograph or a picture. And it's like that there you're neglecting the being. But it's like, all right, well, maybe you build up like a crazy podcast, or you build up a crazy YouTube channel, but then you never make the effort to meet anyone. And it's like you need to have both so you can end up in the rooms, but you also be someone who stands out. The other thing specifically with girls that I'm very hyper aware of is so many times I've had friends who get out of relationships and they just start like going in on their ex. They're like, oh, why'd you break up? Oh, because my ex was dishonest, or she wasn't fun, or she didn't have the same motivations as me, or she didn't like this. And all those things could be true, or they could not be true.
Yeah.
You're clearly a bias source, but that's not the point. They could be true or not true. The point is that as long as like you get out of a relationship and you just see the flaws in the other person, well, then you're just going to attract the same level of a person, because what you're saying is that you're saying it's not my fault that the relationship wasn't enjoyable or that we broke up. You're saying it's all their flaws and that I'm just hoping that I'm going to stumble upon someone better. But it's like, I think there is circumstances where you'll end up in an abusive relationship or you end up in a place that you didn't deserve or belong to be. But I really believe that a strong majority of everyone's relationships are like what they attract.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like there's things about my ex-girlfriend that weren't perfect. Like, she wasn't a perfect person, but whenever I talk to people about it, I'm like, I always make sure to tell them like what I did wrong. I was like, oh, I obsessed over work and I didn't give her the time of day. Like, I was obsessed with who she could be and I didn't appreciate her for who she was. Like, I try to find my flaws, because that's how you're gonna, if you want to find someone better or have a more successful relationship, then you yourself have to be that person. And it's so interesting. People just get out of, and it's not just like, I'm using like the girl boy or relationship dynamic, but this goes for all relationships. It's like you and your boss, you and your friends, you and your people leave and they're like, oh, my friends suck. They're like, my friends aren't ambitious. They aren't adventurous. They aren't this. And it's like, bro, so what you're just hoping is that people with those qualities will stumble into your life, rather than being like, oh, maybe I am not ambitious. Maybe I'm not adventurous. Maybe and I think that was really big for me. That helped me a lot.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's something which I definitely have to continue keeping in mind, because, for instance, Sam, I literally wrote down in August, I go, meet a mentor.
Yeah.
And Sam, the thing is with a mentor, he's a friend, but in a lot of ways, he has a lot more wisdom and experience in life and in social media. And social media is something I want to take seriously. So I would say he's a sort of mentor figure. And if I had met him and I hadn't made videos, I hadn't worked hard for years about editing, then he would have just gone, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
You know? And nothing would have happened from that encounter. But because I was that sort of person.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm perfect, because I'm totally not. There's so much more I could have worked on, but I was proficient enough that when I met him, he took me seriously.
It's like, well, you have value to give. Like with the VFX thing, I mean, even like when I met you, it's like, if I truly sat down with you and met you and I knew your soul, I probably would have asked you to come on the podcast regardless of your like VFX and your career. But because of your VFX and your career is why I wanted to hang out with you in the first place. And then I get to know your soul and I'm like, oh, this guy fits in the soul wealth. He fits into my brand. He fits in my pocket. It's the same thing with Sam. It's like, as a Christian, I try more and more and more to see people for like, not their achievements, not their possessions, and not their money. But to say that like, it's not a phenomenon or to not acknowledge it, it's just not true. It's like, we always first look at people for how attractive they are, whether that's physical beauty, whether that's their like achievements or accomplishments. And I'm aware of that. So as a person, I'm trying to make myself attractive to other people, but I'm also aware of it in the sense that as a seeker, as someone who helps others and someone who looks into others, I'm trying to diminish that as little as possible. So for myself to others, I'm trying to make myself as attractive to other people, but for me to other people, I'm trying to be like, how do I limit that? How do I see people less and less and less for their achievements? How do I see people less and less for their money, less and less? And it just goes back to like what we talked about the other day, is like, the more you help people and expect nothing, the more you'll be blessed. Even how ironic that sounds. And so, yeah. And with the mentors thing too, I used to always like, people would ask me if I had mentors and I didn't know how to answer the question, because I was like, I mean, I have people I talk to for advice, but I don't have like an old dude who I sit down with and like gives me And it's so funny because when you ask someone who's their hero, who's their inspirations, they're generally going to tell you someone who's famous, who they don't know. So they'll be like, oh, my hero, like for a long time I would say Kanye, or a long time I would say David Blaine, or like my people I look up to. And now something I'm trying to implement in my life is like when people ask about my inspirations or my heroes, I try to say my friends or people I know. And the reason why is that Kanye can make something that's really, really inspiring to me. But it's like, I only know him through his art. I don't know how he treats people. I don't know him on a daily basis. I don't know his living. And I can get to know him through interviews and podcasts and like have an idea of him. But it's like, when I recommend you to like meet my friend Chris, who's also accomplished great things, but he's like my best friend. I know how he treats you. I know who he is, who his character is, and it's like, yeah, he's my best friend, so I can call him. But he's also like, those are the people I'm trying to make my heroes and my inspirations now because I know every aspect of their life rather than just like a snapshot of the art or their accomplishment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely... Yeah, I think idolizing people on the internet is a bad thing. I think you don't know who they are. I agree with you.
It's just like you're only seeing a snapshot, and it's not bad to like I definitely look up to people and I get inspiration, but I'm just idolizing is the word. You don't want to idolize anything. I mean, as a Christian, I would say you don't want to idolize anyone but Jesus, but even just as a general person, like idolizing is bad. Because especially people you don't know anything about their characteristics or who they are. But it happens too with people you do know. It's like sometimes you have a friend that you really admire and you're like, I remember before I got close to my friend Chris, who was CEO of Creator Camp, every time I met him, I would like met up with him to get coffee or I was aware of the fact that he owned the company Creator Camp and I really wanted to attend his events. So every time I would be with him, I would like refrain from showing my full personality because it was like, oh, this guy is like the gate holder if I'm going to get into this event. And like, I need to be kind of like, I don't know. I just need to put on this fake persona so that he'll like me more. Like I'm trying to be what I think he would like. Yeah. And then he didn't end up inviting me to the event. And I was just like, all right, F it. I'm going to be myself. And then we became best friends and I went to the next event. So it's like, it's the same thing with girls too. It's like how many times, like, you're texting a girl you like and your boys are like, wait 3 days to text her and like, you just gotta wait 3 days and you gotta, be mean, a little bit mean to her. And then people are trying to make this formula. It's like, even if that works, even if the girl's like, this guy's not texting me and he's a little mean and I like him, it's like, what? Now she just likes a version of you that's not you? If you guys ended up in a relationship, you're just setting yourself up for failure because you made this girl like someone that's not you. And it's like, so I'm always just under the impression that you just got to be yourself and like, that's going to push certain people away and it's going to bring certain people closer to you. But I think that leads to the most joy and the best relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And building off of what you just said about kind of putting your true identity out instead of creating this false identity, which they think you like, and you're setting yourself up for failure because then you can't actually like uphold that personality, right? And it's not sustainable. I totally agree. And I have this rule that with your opinions, it's fine to have an opinion which will upset someone who you may not align with. Like for instance, let's say your opinion is Jesus is God. Yeah. That's going to upset some people, but you're going to go, you know what? I don't align with your beliefs, right? But then let's say there are people who which you do align with your belief, who you align with, and who you feel that are people who you want to surround yourself with, but you have a belief which upsets them, then maybe you should kind of check yourself and go, my mom doesn't like this. My mom is someone who I care about and I value her opinion deeply. If my mom doesn't like this, then maybe I should check myself. Whereas if someone who is just against everything I believe in doesn't like it, then it's okay, that makes sense. Not that we should be enemies with that person, but I think it's more you should focus on people who you care about, people who you care about their opinions. If they're like, dude, check yourself, then I think you should check yourself. Oh, is that still going to work?
It should be fine. I'm just going to put it back. Yeah, what you're saying is like knowing whose opinions to value.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I set this up. No, I mean, that is such an important skill to know whose opinions to value. But it's also like surrounded, I think with that being said though, is like whenever you get told that you don't do something right or properly, the natural reaction is like to be offended. And even as like someone who practices that skill, like, so a lot of like very wise Christian people have told me one of the best things they ever did was read one proverb with the corresponding day of the month, because there's 31 proverbs, and over and over and over again in Proverbs it says like accept discipline, accept correction. The wise will allow themselves to be corrected, will embrace discipline. And it's gotten to the point where a lot of friendships, people are too scared to like criticize their friends or correct them. And it probably comes from a place of like when they first heard criticism or correction from their friends, it was like bullying, or it was like something that wasn't true. So we build up this like defense, like we're immediately when we hear something, we feel like defended. But now I've gotten to this place where my friends are so like-minded and they're so much on the same wavelength that my friends correct me all the time. And almost always right when they first correct me, like I'll get a little anxious, but then I'll look at it and I almost always agree. And like a really good example of this is freaking jacket.
Is it fine? I think it'd be fine without it.
It is fine without it.
Okay. By the way, just for context, we have a very impressive and professional setup so that the camera is shaded and doesn't overheat.
Well, I made it better that way. Because now it's like
more distributed.
Yeah. What was I saying? Like a really good example of this, my friend Serafina, who you're gonna meet, who's been such a valuable friend to me. So I hope you guys hit it off. She like messaged me the other day and was like, sorry, I don't know if that's in the frame. She messaged me the other day and said, I think you should change your profile picture on Instagram. And I was like, low-key, like, who is this chick telling me to change my profile picture on Instagram? But I mean, we're really good friends and I valued her. And then she was just like explaining to me like your brand, Soul Wealth. It's like all about seeing people for their souls, not their achievements, not their possessions. And the picture I had on my Instagram was very fratty. And that's how she described it. And it was funny she said that because when I made it, my picture on Instagram was when I was in a frat.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you're so right. Like, this picture doesn't represent my brand at all. And so, like, at first it hurt. Like, I didn't tell her. Like, at first I was like, dang, like, why? But almost every time, I'm now in a place where my friends will make corrections like that. And even Sam will tell me little things about content and stuff. But your friends are never going to do that if you're offended the first time they try to correct you. So you have to like have that knowledge, like even when it hurts, you have to have that discipline and be like, all right, let me look at this over and over and over again. Sorry, there was a bug but it flew away. Yeah, so that's like something, being someone who not only is like okay with criticism, but like embraces your friends when they do it, so that you're creating however much you embrace criticism when people give it to you, you're like setting yourself up to like have a machine that is like making you the best version of yourself.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. And if you aren't going to accept your friends' criticism, who else is going to criticize you? The way I view it is your friends are on your team.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, this isn't completely true, but if you view it as it's us against the world, you just want to build your friends up because you're on the same team.
Yeah.
Like, you building up your friend, I say building up, but some people would say criticizing or whatever. Yeah. I'd tell my friend, people say, oh, you have something in your teeth. That's just really an analogy for like they have a problem, they have something they need to fix. So I'll point those out. I'm so honest.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that me being honest with them, in return, they're honest with me. And I'm like, if someone points out a flaw that I have, very noticeable, I can't say 100% of the time, I'll get excited. Because I'll get to a point where like, for instance, let's say, oh gosh.
It's okay. I want to switch to the jacket.
Okay.
And as long as it's not in the frame. Oh. This is why I avoid using the umbrella. Here, you can just pause for a second. The jacket should be fine though now. Let's make sure you're still in the frame. Okay. Make sure, let me know if the camera moves.
Okay.
Can you still see the light?
Yeah, I can still see the light. Here,
I think we should hold up that umbrella. I don't want you to lose your train of thought. Yeah, let's put it like that a bit. All right. Lots of interruptions.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. All right. So, yeah, criticizing friends and friends criticizing you. I think it's super important to have a completely honest relationship with your friends, because when you do, like, you just can become together an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
And, like, if you make a mistake once, you have to learn so many times, versus if you have a group of like 4 people and they're making mistakes and they're all telling each other and they're all pointing out mistakes and saying, hey, you fix this. But it's not out of a place of like, I know more than you. Odds are I've gone through that and I'm just trying to save you from the headache.
I remember Mr. Beast, who's like the biggest YouTuber of all time. He says that he like multiple times a week, he'll call YouTubers and like ask them what's working for them and like what's harmed them. And he's just always trying to learn from people's mistakes. And that's like a big buzzword now in the self-help space, is like masterminds, like creating groups of people who are going to make you better and you make them better. I think that's really interesting. With all this talk, though, I was just curious, if I were to say freedom, like, what does freedom mean to you? And I'm not talking about freedom as in, I'm not talking about freedom as in America, we have freedom. I'm talking about like you said earlier, I don't want to be an employee. Elaborate on not just being an employee, but define freedom. What would make you feel free?
I would say freedom is allowing every day to look different, because that's more like the product and not the journey. There's a lot of things which you have to have in order to make every day look different. I think you would need to have a little bit of money, because so you could travel. Not that you're in a different location every single week.
Yeah.
But doing the same thing every single day, that's not my sort of thing. I think routine's important, but to have to, stay in the same place for a whole year, and maybe for a few weeks of the year you go somewhere for vacation, and then to have to go to the same office every single day, 5 days a week, 5 out of the 7 days a week, for 48 to 50 out of the 52 weeks of the year. I don't really like that. And here's the funny thing, is that I dropped out of school and I ended up doing the exact same thing. I'm at home for pretty much every single day, because like you said, I dropped out and I did kind of find myself like, oh wow, I'm kind of alone. Like, I'm kind of like I'm a one-man band.
Yeah.
But I'm taking steps to achieve my definition of freedom, so that's good. I think spontaneity, that's something I really admire with you, and I think that's something that I'm striving for. And the people whom I admire most are the most spontaneous. I have a friend, Aiden Mooney. He's a very spontaneous guy, and he definitely inspires me.
Oh, a year ago, I probably would have defined freedom very similarly to how you define it, which is along the lines of financial freedom, that I don't have to be somewhere at, and I always talk about this idea of time, location, freedom. So it's like, you could be a football player and make millions and millions of dollars, but you still have to show up to practice Monday through Friday, 6 days a week. And therefore you have financial freedom, but you don't have time freedom. But then there's people who like live in their vans and they have unlimited time freedom, but they don't have financial freedom. If they wanted to travel, take a plane across the world and rent a villa, they couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I used to define freedom, is like time, location, freedom. And now, as I become more Christian, I lean more into God. I think of freedom more as just like surrendering. My life is not my own. I will do things. I will create habits, and I will seek out. Right now, I'm seeking out this podcast. I think this is going to be my career. I think YouTube's going to be involved in my career. I think social media is going to be involved in my career. But to me, freedom is like detachment. It's not saying I don't need to be a podcaster. I don't need to be a YouTuber. I don't need to accomplish my dreams and goals. It's just saying my life is not my own. It is God's, and whatever God wants me to do, I will do that. And that is freedom. And to me also, another like degree of that is not living in the future or the past. So like in high school, when I was really depressed, I lived so much in the past. It was like, oh, this girl said this to me, or my friends didn't like me. It was like I was reliving moments over and over again. And then when I got I beat depression, I got super like self-help and like loving myself. Well, then I thought I won, but what I really did was I just switched to living in the future, because I was like, I can't wait till I have 1 million subscribers and like I have financial freedom and I can travel all over the world. But then it's like, first of all, you don't know those things are going to happen. You don't even know you'll be alive tomorrow. So it's like, why are you putting so much happiness and joy in something that is not guaranteed, is not promised? And now it's just like I have really big opportunities coming to me, and I look forward to the future, but I try. Freedom to me is just being like, how is today the best day possible? How can I make the people around me feel the best? How can I live out whatever God has in store for me? And in a way, it is very similar to your definition, because it's like every day doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
If God put it on my heart to buy a flight to Bosnia today and go build houses in Bosnia, I hope that I would respond to that. That's like what freedom is to me.
Yeah. I totally agree.
And it's like, I mean, I think the natural follow-up question, which I have to ask you because it's my brand, is what is success for you? How would you define it? And I know that I just said a bunch of stuff would totally probe a different answer.
Yeah.
Don't feel the need to answer it the way I would answer it, because I've had that with guests. And
yeah, no, I'm not trying to.
But it's okay to be inspired.
It's difficult right now. I'm at like a crossroads of. Honestly, the best way to describe it is like kind of Andrew Tate-ism. Yeah. Right. That kind of definition, like the masculine, like what you see on media, kind of. Although he's kind of like counter media, he does kind of like going to the grain with some things, but that sort of like traditional definition of success, like the worldly definition, and I am kind of like at a crossroads with that, with faith.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, as of right now, I'm definitely still leaning towards the sort of like worldly definition.
Yeah.
But I don't depend on like money for my happiness. I don't depend on, my sort of like career for my happiness. I think ultimately it's like spending time with, it's being able to just be around people. Like if I think about my future and then someone told me like you achieve X, not subscribers, but X like money, X achievement, right? But I'm not with like my best friends. My family lives super far away.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't consider that super successful. Maybe by like a materialistic standpoint, I'd be successful, sure. Maybe through the lens of some other people. But like personally in my heart, I think it's like being around everyone whom I care about. And I mean, that's the number one thing for me.
Yeah. There's a really popular quote that says like, is happiness real if it's not shared? All right. So for the viewers, the camera battery died. We were talking about soul wealth.
Is that fine, or do you think that's too close?
That's fine.
Okay.
We're talking about soul wealth or something. Now we're going to use his VFX ability to make this part of the podcast look crazy. Although it's not going to look crazy right here. It's just going to look like we're goofing around, fake fighting. But on Instagram, we're going to make a VFX clip. So if you made it to this far in the podcast, go watch the Instagram clip or the TikTok clip because it's going to be crazy. And you can see kind of what he does with special effects.
Cool.
All right.
Okay.
So you want to just wait it and then you can tell me if it's a good take?
Yeah.
Let me move my... Okay.
Ready?
Yeah. So tell me something that you thought was nostalgic as a child.
Dude, you remember the Indian burn? Ready? I've gotten super good at this. Ready?
Wait. Restart.
Oh, okay.
I think it should be...
This arm?
This arm.
Okay. Yeah, then you kind of see your face and like blocking you.
Yeah. So tell me something super nostalgic as kids.
Okay, dude, do you remember the Indian burn?
All right, dude, do it.
Ready?
Ow. Wait, stop. What the heck, dude? No.
Oh, no.
Rick, bro.
All right, start from the top.
Oh, we were going way too hard, bro. I think I actually hit your face.
Yeah, you did a little bit. No, that's fine, though. You got hurt. You got hurt.
Okay.
That was good, though. That was good.
My first ever fake fighting.
That was good.
All right.
Yeah, a little bit of a knock right here.
Dude, I totally accidentally punched you in the face. I'm so sorry.
Dude, then it's going to look more realistic.
I know.
No pain, no gain.
I feel bad, bro.
No, it doesn't hurt.
Okay. So wait, what is the best thing to just go slow and make everything really real, or is the best thing to
go fast, but maybe don't make contact?
Yeah, I didn't
like that.
I don't even know why I did that, bro. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine.
All right, let's try it again.
Yeah.
Wait, what was that nostalgic thing you were talking about as a kid?
Oh, dude, do you remember the Indian burn?
Oh, what the heck, bro?
Here, wait, I can get it stronger.
Oh, bro, stop. Dude. I hope that looked good, bro. Oh, wait.
Yeah, screw this podcast.
All right, let's do one more.
All right.
Okay.
Here, wait, exit the frame real quick, just so there's
yeah. I think you might have moved it a little bit at the last second.
Oh, did I?
I don't think it was that down with me. All right, look at the frame. What do you think?
Looks good.
Do you want to move it a little bit higher?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Or, yeah.
All right.
What do you think? Any feedback or?
I think make the part at the end where we kind of stopped before that. I mean, I can cut that in afterwards, but my feedback would be like go straight from kicking me in the nuts to like, and this podcast sucks anyways.
Yeah.
Like the camera.
Okay.
Also, with the first Indian burn, give it a second. Make it sound more like a conversation. So I'll be like, tell me the most nostalgic thing as a child. And you're like, do you remember Indian burns? And I'll be like, kinda. Show me again. And then you do it the first time. And then I'll be like, ow, what the heck? Stop. And then you'll just do it again.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sounds good.
All right. What was the most nostalgic thing as a child?
Oh, do you remember Indian burns? Like elementary school.
Kind of. Wait, show me again. It's like,
okay.
Right.
It's like this.
Ow, dude, what the heck? Stop. Dude, stop. Oh, bro. Oh, okay.
And this podcast sucks.
I feel like that's got to be the one.
Okay, perfect. That was good.
I feel like that one was a good one.
Yeah. Dude, I hit my head on the the punch. Yeah, no, you didn't hit me. I just slammed my head on the ground. That was good.
Like too hard?
No, not too hard. Just enough to wake me up.
Okay. Let's wrap up the pod.
Alrighty.
All right, so for everyone who's really confused, I know I already explained it, but what we just did is going to be edited to be crazy on VFX, and you're just going to have to watch it on Instagram or TikTok to see what it's going to look like. I know it's hard to go from fake fighting to concussion to finishing up the podcast. But
Yeah.
I always ask the same outro question, which is, when you die, what do you want people to say about you?
When I die, I want people to say that I had a positive impact on them. I feel like that's what probably most people say, so it's kind of unoriginal, but
It's okay.
I think when I die, I want... Yeah, I made a positive impact on them. I guess that's pretty broad. That's not super specific.
It's okay, and you don't need to know. It goes back to, like, you don't need to know. But I think something really important there is that if the most important thing to you is having a positive impact on others, it's really important to ask yourself on a daily basis. The reason why I ask this question is because so many people give a similar answer to what you said, but then they obsess over work and they obsess over what they're doing and they spend no time with the people they loved. And then they go and you ask them, how do you want to be remembered? I want to be remembered as someone who loved people. I want to be remembered as someone who made others feel special. And then they idolize work and they idolize never spending time with people. And I'm not saying you do that because I don't know you well enough, but it's just the reason I came out with Soul Wealth because it was a solution to the problem that I was having. And I still all the time, I'm so obsessed with work, so obsessed with working hard. And I believe in working hard and I do, but I just always got to check myself and be like, yeah, a great podcast, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're going to do some thumbnail photos real quick.
Okay, sounds good.
Here, put your legs out like this because otherwise they're going to be in your cutout. We don't... Yeah,
we don't want to overlap.
Yeah, we don't want to overlap. Just smile. Make like 3 to 4 different poses.
Okay, that was like 6.
Okay. Hug it up. Hugs not handshake.
Oh, hugs not handshakes?
All right. That's it. That's
Perfect.
about the podcast.